Welcome to the Vibrant Couple. Today I have invited Robyn Smith, a trauma communication and relationship coach. Welcome, Robyn, to talk about attunement. Robyn, please tell us, what is attunement?
Well, thank you, Valdo. It's great to be here with you. I'm really looking forward to our conversation. And attunement is your ability to tune in, or is the practice of tuning in to somebody, paying, you could say, exquisite attention to what's happening for them with a sense of curiosity, I would say. Attunement is like such a core element of a healthy relationship. So attunement can be it starts with your caregivers. It's how they relate to you. And that's when it was sort of uncovered, like how important it is for developing a healthy human being is that your mother, your other caregivers know how to tune in and kind of track how you're doing. Oh, you're crying. What's going on? How can I help you? You're fussing. Maybe there's something wrong. And so it's like an attempt to connect. It's a reaching towards with this curiosity and this desire to, I would say, to connect.
Sounds like we are diving directly into attachment styles.
Yeah, it's a key component, in how we evolve as human beings, and then how we then relate to other human beings, and especially our partners. So it's hard to leave it out of this kind of conversation.
I would love you to say a few words because attunement is something that is really wanted when we are open, when we want to be intimate with someone. But when we're in conflict, when we think our partner is our enemy, which happens too often in too many couples, then attunement is really unwanted.
To create secure attachment, which everyone would benefit from and would be happier with, is when you do have that caregiver who was really tuned in, who is able to show you they care, they're here for you, they're curious about you, they want to support you, and that helps you develop a sense of security. Okay, you've got me. I'm raising a puppy right now. So it's like, I'm here for you. I get to be that. They call it the home base, right? So even when a child or a puppy runs off, they look back. Are you still there? I'm here. I've got you. I'm not going away, But if they run away and then you're distracted, you're doing something else, they don't feel safe. So that's how, like, the beginning of security starts, is with that sense of, you've got me, you're tracking me, and I need you to, because I'm totally dependent on you. And so if you have a parent or caregiver who's not tracking you, they're not coming to you when you're fussing and crying, they don't look at you with eye contact, they're busy all the time, they're neglecting you, or for whatever reason, maybe they're sick, maybe they've got 10 other kids, who knows what's happening in the environment. But if they cannot or choose not to attune to you, then you're going to feel insecure. And then there's different types of insecure attachment. There can be complete neglect, and that's when you might end up having more of an avoidance style, where, okay, you're not here for me, then I'm not going to need you, because it's just way too painful to feel forgotten. So I just shut down and I decide I'm not going to need anybody. So that's a version of the avoidance style. And then someone who's anxious gets some attunement, some unpredictable kind of attunement, connection here but not over there. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. I don't know when to rely on you, so I don't feel safe. So then we become anxious. When are you reliable? When are you here for me? And then so there tends to be a contraction in the system, feeling like you don't have me. That's a brief rundown of a little bit of the attachment styles.
Thank you. And so I assume everyone watching is very familiar with the anxious avoidant dynamic, where one partner basically wants the other more, makes bids for connection, and the other, is not paying attention or is rejecting them. I would love to talk about how practicing attunement can help both partners get out of the dynamic and create a secure relationship. Please say more about that. What is your experience?
Oh, it's such a great topic and deep. And so yes, this pattern of one person, I think of it like that, like come over here, and I'm going the other way, you know. So one person really comes forward, and the other tends to be not there or go the other direction, and then it's so painful for the one wanting connection. And so how do you're saying attunement is the way to connection, and I think part of it is knowing your style, just having an understanding of your own and your partner's patterns, so you don't take it so personally. Especially for the anxious person, they're likely to take everything personally. You don't like me, you don't love me, you're going to leave me. All those types of inner dialogue and outer dialogue are probably happening. So the more you can start with an understanding of that's their survival strategy. They had to do that to cope with probably some kind of neglect. And so the more you can have patience for them, and that's how they're finding some safety, is like shut down, go away, you know, put up a wall, whatever it looks like, bury themselves in a book or whatever. And then these bids for connection. So let me back up and say that for the avoidant person, they need to understand that, you know, you can't have connection if you keep doing that, and that your partner is seeking you. And so it's going to take some pushing the edge of comfort to come into a place of responsibility, an ability to respond, a capacity to find safety within connection. And I don't think that's a quick process. That's a process that takes time for this nervous system that needed to shut down to be safe. So there needs to be a lot of patience between the partners, for the one who needs that connection to have patience for the one who needs to shut down, and vice versa. And so the attunement can start with that basic, okay, I see you shutting down to take care of yourself. That's a kind of attunement. And oh, I see you wanting something to feel safe, wanting me, wanting connection to feel safe. Okay, that's a start with your attunement, is just starting to get your partner and how they operate, and that they're doing their best to take care of their needs. And then as you work with that, your system begins to recalibrate, and again, not taking everything so personally. So you're working with your own form of anxiety, your own form of stress in the system. And as you do that, so I think that's kind of the inside job too, of maybe having a therapist or a coach or somebody to work with on this stuff. And then you can start seeing your partner as your ally, instead of, you know, someone who's against you, someone who's fighting you. Then you can start to relax and feel more comfortable, and your safety zone can grow, so that I can feel safe even when you need to walk away and shut down, and vice versa. I can feel safe even when you're like wanting something from me, and I can learn to be able to be here with you even when it's an edge for me and I feel like I need to leave. So that's, it's complicated. It's not just start tuning into each other, because you have a limited capacity, especially if you're avoidant. So you have to work with the capacity first, I think, or while you're with somebody. I'm not saying you have to be alone. You can do it within a relationship, but there is that inside job to like work with your nervous system and your capacity to be able to be present with someone, and all the stuff that brings up if it's really hard to be intimate. Because if you had to shut down, it was because it was freaking scary to be seen. There's like a terror, because it's tied up with, you're going to hurt me, you're going to leave me, so I can't, it's not safe for me to do that. So that person needs to do this work on self-soothing, and learning to be able to soothe with instead of alone also, so that co-regulation that happens in a partnership is so important. And that attunement, of course, helps with that.
So what I'm hearing is you have two individuals have fairly high level of anxiety, and typically when that is the case, they blow each other off, or they, as you were saying. And the idea is through self-soothing, the inside job, one lowers their reactivity or the anxiety, and then also by learning to narrate what they believe is going on inside the other, that invites the other to basically lower the anxiety. And then when they keep doing that, they can get to basically a secure relationship that has low level of anxiety. They know they are there for each other.
Yes, I think that's part of it. Yes. And then I think another piece is your your relationship to your emotions. So your emotional literacy, so to speak, and we can look at capacity again, nervous system capacity to be with big emotions. So we talked about safety. How do you feel safe when you're angry? How do you still feel like you're securely attached even when you're angry at somebody or they're angry at you, right? So that can be a big trigger for people. But the more you work with befriending your emotions, getting comfortable with the big energy in your system that emotions bring. So it doesn't mean you have to lash out because you're having a big emotion or run away because you're having emotion. So the more you can grow your capacity to be with an emotion with yourself internally, then you can do that with somebody too.
So do you learn emotional intelligence outside of your relationship, inside of your relationship, or both?
Yeah, absolutely both. I'm not saying you should go do that work on your own and then come to a relationship. But I do think that it can be so triggering inside of a relationship. So I do think it's helpful to have a place you're working on your own with somebody who you feel secure with, like a therapist or coach, somebody like myself or like you who knows how to work with this type of material. So that you're working on your own, like I said, capacity to be able to be with yourself, the other person, and there's nothing like an intimate relationship to trigger your stuff to trigger this stuff. So it's not going to come up with your friends as much, or I mean it can with friends and parents, but in a therapeutic setting it is probably hopefully the safest place to work on something like that. But also ideally when you do feel safe in a relationship, you can create space to talk about these issues. I feel scared right now. I feel angry right now. I'm making up the story that you're going to leave me. So the more you can out your stories, your beliefs, your old stuff from your early wounds, and the more the two of you can be okay with holding space for that instead of judging it or reacting to it, then you're going to develop the security. So that's where the attunement comes in. What's going on for you right now? I notice your face is turning red and your hands are clenching, or you attuning to yourself and you're saying, my heart's pounding right now and I'm making up this story that you hate me. So that's an inner attunement, there's an outer attunement, and with both of those and being able to share that kind of language for how to talk about what's happening internally, how to talk about what's happening between you, and kind of a shared agreement that we want to know that, we want to make space for that, that's allowed here, we care about these things, this is all part of attunement, then then the energy can settle more. Okay, we're just worked up right now and it's okay, and something got triggered over here, or maybe you need to take space or however you do it. But again, that's kind of a growing of your capacity as individuals and as a couple to be with the triggers, to be with the difficult energies that occur inside of you and between you. And the more you can do that, the less you react, the less you take it so seriously or so personally when someone's, being you know, an asshole or, you know, being immature or having a big reaction or whatever's happening.
So safety plus trust plus attunement to self plus attunement to other plus emotional intelligence plus making space for the existence of our past trauma.
Yes, yes. So there's, as I said, it's complex. There's not just one practice here. There's multiple layers, and for me, that's maturity. I know that that word is maybe a judgment in a way, but I think when we have again this larger capacity to be with all the levels of who we are, like all the colors of the rainbow are allowed over here. You know, it's not just I'm in the red zone and you're in the blue zone, but we can accept, that was not a political reference intended, but we can accept, you know, the diversity between us. The more we can do that, the more regulated we are, really internally in the world as well as with each other. So I think it's so important. And that work, when done inside of an intimate, you know, a love relationship, is so powerful, as you know, so healing to these old wounds. When, you know, you can repair an insecure attachment with your current partner. I mean, it's incredible what's possible here. And that's why I'm sure we're both here, because we've seen that. We do that work with ourselves and with our clients. And it's so transformational and such a, thank goodness, like we've come to this place where we understand this now, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, you can see I get kind of lit up about that. It's super exciting for me. It's why I love being a relationship coach and working with trauma, because people's lives transform, not just their relationships, but everything in their lives as they get to this place of more inner security and security with other people, and especially their beloved.
It looks like looking at one's inability or resistance to attune is part of the process.
Why is it that some people can attune more easily than others? Right? And so some people are more just able to connect and really like leaning in and intimate with everybody, and other people are more standoffish. And what's that about? How come we're all so different? And there's such a big spectrum here. And I would go back to that early traumas that happen, that they don't have to be on purpose. It just could be your parent had lots of work to do, or they worked out of town, or they were distracted. I had a client once whose mother was blind. So it made attunement really difficult because she couldn't make eye contact. She didn't feel her looking at her. So there's lots of reasons you could have this experience as a little one, like I'm not getting attuned to. And so, like we spoke to before, if you didn't receive it, it's hard to know how to give it. We learn from our caregivers, you know, that we have this term co-regulation. The parent in their attunement helps your system to regulate, so you learn eventually how to regulate yourself. So it's the same type of thing with attunement. If they're showing you how to attune, you then learn how to receive and then how to give that back. So if you didn't get that, it's going to be a lot harder to know how to do that because you don't have any model for it, and also to feel safe doing that, like we talked about before. You maybe put up a wall to people in general, to the world, because you needed to feel safe. So these are some early reasons that you could have attunement might be really difficult for you.
And so fast forward a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, 6 decades for some of our viewers. And right now, in the relationship we're having or with the dates we're having, this is the best place to basically change that pattern and learn to practice attunement.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, again, finding a sense of safety. If you do feel safe with someone, you get they're not here to hurt you, then you can practice, maybe breathing, maybe doing some nervous system tools to help you feel more safe, more comfortable, having someone lean in and look into your eyes, or doing that for them. So and practicing that. So that can be done incrementally with time with somebody, where you just play with, hey, let's try 1 minute of eye gazing and just see how that goes, and then we'll just stop, or you get to say when it's enough, something like that. So there's little games you could play to help your own nervous system feel safer with that kind of intimacy.
So basically, you rewire each other's brain in a relationship step by step, trusting that your partner is there for you. And actually, as you go, you'll notice that your partner is more and more there for you.
That's the idea, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And then, there's the other person who's really good at attuning, but they tune so much to other people, they don't tune into themselves. So then their job is that kind of more inner attunement as well. So,
well, I'm really glad that we talk more and more about fawning these days.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of what another way to speak about when appeasing, trying to say yes. Maybe even if you need to say no, trying to please people. So yeah, it's kind of like going outside of yourself to kind of create the safety. Like if everyone's happy, then I can be happy, and then you put their needs above yours. So the more you can tune in again, create that inner safety, the capacity to be okay with differences between you, different needs. Trusting that it's okay if someone's not happy, if someone's disappointed, if someone's angry, that you could still be safe. Then that's the security we talked about earlier.
Wonderful. Please say more about the programs you offer, Robyn.
Well, coming up very soon, right around when this video airs, is I have a free communication training for women, and I call it the Connection Code: Master Authentic and Loving Communication. And it's a short training, just 1 hour a day for 4 days, with a couple options to get a little more Q&A session and a master class afterwards. But this training has been transformational for people to learn key communication skills that help you attune to yourself. So we start with attunement actually on day 1, what goes on for me, and then how to communicate that. Key communication skills to help you create more connection, more intimacy, to help you feel heard and understood by your partner, to do the same for them. So I highly recommend that training. It's a great gateway to deepening your connections in all your relationships, really, but it's really geared towards romantic relationships. So that's the Connection Code. And then I also have a free Facebook group people can join called the Rock Your Relationships Sisterhood Facebook group, where I give free training almost every week in there. You can ask questions, you can connect with other women. It's all for women. And then I do offer a program where people can study more deeply with me and learn all about things like we've been talking about today, working with your nervous system and working with your boundaries and your needs and your developmental trauma and communication, and how to have a healthy, functional, secure, happy, loving relationship.
If this video inspired you to liberate more love through attunement and practicing secure attachment, please hit the like button below and subscribe so you can be notified when I publish new juicy content. And please share with all you believe would benefit. I look forward to seeing you very soon.